which is the S, print with preview, and then the registration marks, if they're already pulled up, they're going to be in the same spot. So after we've done that, we printed each color and having the registration marks on them. Now Photoshop's really cool. It gives you the ability to, highlight each text layer. You can go highlight that layer. Let's say we want to come up here and change the font. We just simply select the font changing tool and we can scroll down through the fonts, pick out different fonts. There's so many things that you can do with Photoshop. There's no way I can cover them right now, because if we covered them all right now, we couldn't get to the fun stuff, which is the actual printing part. So I'd recommend you guys getting a book. It's called Photoshop for Screen Printers. We sell it on our website, and it's a great book that goes over how to use the basic features and the plus features of Photoshop to create your best images and your best artwork creation in Photoshop using that book. That book's a great tool to use. Let's get to our next part of our artwork, which is actually taking a flat image that has multiple colors in it and color separating it. There we show you how to create a multicolor image out of just using text or simple text or artwork creation layers. You're just going to want to create each text or each part of the image that's going to be a different color in a new layer. One thing I forgot to show you is that to add a layer, you simply come up here to Layer tool right there, a Layer tab, and then just hit New Layer. That's like if you're doing some drawing or something on the screen and you're not creating a new text layer, you want to add a layer before you start working or drawing on that new layer for that new part or new color in your image. Now we're going to pull up a new design, and we're going to show you guys how to color separate that. This is a design of Bart drawing on a chalkboard. Basically, this is what is called a flat design, meaning that it has no layers. Even though there's multiple colors to this image, it's all one layer. If you notice here down in your Layers tab, there's only one layer. It's called the background. So, in order to print this out, we're going to have to take each one of these colors and we're going to have to color separate them into different layers. To do that in Photoshop, you first have to highlight the layer. Now, to highlight the layer, the easiest way to do it is come up here and use your Magic Wand tool. Your Magic Wand tool lets you select between color tones and highlights those specific color tones on an image. One thing you want to know about your Threshold tool, or excuse me, your Magic Wand tool, is that it has up here what is called a tolerance. Now you want to keep your tolerance, what a tolerance is how much of the color or how much of the tone it selects. You want to keep your tolerance between 40 and 50 is where we found that it works the best. So let's start with his skin tone. Using our little Magic Wand tool, we're going to come down here and we are going to just simply click on his skin tone. I'm going to zoom up a little bit. I'm going to use hotkeys to zoom up. It's basically using the Control and then plus sign, and that's going to zoom up on our image. Just a quick hint for you guys. Now, if you see here, all our Bart's skin is highlighted in his face. It selected all the color tones of his skin tone. Now, we're going to have to also select his arms and his legs and this little tiny piece of chalk right there. So, to do that, you hit your Shift key, and if you see, once you hit your Shift key, it's going to pull up a little plus sign down below your Magic Wand tool. You hit your Shift key, and then you come select your next part of the same color. That's going to select his arm. Holding down our Shift key, we just come here and we hit click once. That's going to select his other arm. We click once on his leg. That's going to select his leg. And then we click once on his other leg. That's going to select his second leg. Now, to come grab this little small piece of chalk, we're going to zoom way in on this image using the Control plus key. We're going to hit Shift. That's going to bring that plus sign up. Then we're going to click that part, and then we're going to click that part. So once we have that whole color, that whole layer selected, we're just going to zoom back so we can see everything that we're doing. And basically zooming out is just hitting Control and then your minus tab. You hit down your Control and then you hit your minus, then you can zoom in. Control plus zooms out. Control minus zooms out, Control plus zooms in. Once our whole layers are selected, we simply right click on our selected area, and then we go down and we select layer via cut. And what that's going to do is that's going to cut each of our highlighted portions into a new layer. Once I've done that, you guys can actually see his skin, all his skin tone is on a new layer. Now if you're wondering what these checker marks here, this checker mark means that it's a transparent background. So the only thing that is showing right now is his layer. You're going to want to use a transparent background as much as possible because it's the easiest to work with. However, sometimes I do, change it to a white background because, sometimes it's hard to see with all these dots. Coming back here, now we're going to want to go back to our Layers tab, and we're going to want to highlight the background layer. Because if we have his skin tone, if you notice, the skin tone layer is highlighted right now. If we have that, we're working on the skin tone palette, so we're not going to be able to color select anything out of that background layer. So simply we come back here, we highlight the background layer, and then we come back to the image, and let's take his clothes out. So once again, just select his clothes. We hit the shift sign, come back to his arm sleeve right here, come back to his pants, and then do both his shoes. Once everything is selected, we right click on the image, and then we come down, layer via cut. That's going to cut his clothes into a new layer. So now we have his skin in one layer, his clothes in the second layer, and then our third layers are the chalkboard and the actual black, which is called, in this image, is called a black trap. A black trap is basically any type of black outline that's going to actually, if you see here, it's something that brings everything together. Alright, once we have everything highlighted, we're going to once again come and right click the highlighted portion and then select layer via cut. That's going to cut our third layer. Now since this layer had so many small intricate parts to it, we're going to really want to take that and make sure that we got everything. To do that, we're going to come and unhighlight or unsee that layer, and that's going to show us that yes, we got everything major, but we did miss a couple little small things right there that our selection tool just didn't pick up, which or might not picked up that whole part of the inside of the circle or something. So to make sure this image is nice and clean when we go to print film, we're going to take our eraser tool and we're going to erase the inside of this chalkboard. To do that, so to come over here and select our eraser pad right there, and then come back to our palette, select the layer that we're working on, and then simply erase the inside of the chalkboard. Now, a couple little tips that I want to show you guys on erasing is that using Photoshop in your erase palette, if you click on one part of the image and then hold your shift key down and then come all the way over here and click on another part of the image, it's going to erase in a straight line that whole part that you just went over. So it makes the erasing process, sometimes if you're having to get in and correct an image up and clean it up a lot, it makes it a little faster. You get nice straight edges for you. So we're going to come here, once again, we're going to erase our whole inside of our chalkboard so we have a nice clean image to work with. Once that is done, we now have each of our colors in a different layer. We have our black trap layer, we have our green chalkboard layer, we have our blue clothes layer, and then we have our skin tone layer. Now, basically, we're going to need to do one more step, or actually a couple more steps, but one more main step before we go to print that. And that is, you have to transpose this into a black image before you go to print it. Now, the basic easiest way to transpose a layer into black is to come up here. First you want to highlight the layer that you're working on. Come up here to your image tab, go to adjustments, and then come down and select threshold. Selecting the threshold, it basically takes out all color tone of the image. You can, once this threshold is selected, you select the threshold level and pull it up until every part of the image is black. So right now, every part of his hand or his image, every part of his skin tone is black. And we have to do that to each layer before we go to print it.